Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. When was this announced? In, I think it was like May 2019, right? Or April 2019? It's currently May 2022. It's the 7th of May as of filming this, and the film came out 2 nights ago in the UK. As also when I saw it. I'm sure many of you have heard reviews saying that it wasn't as good as people expected it to be, and it was actually quite a bad film. Now I'm basically here to not necessarily give all of my thoughts, but just sort of bounce off of what other reviews have been saying and give my opinion on those reviews and talk about why I basically think they're wrong. So spoilers for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness if you've not seen it yet. So the main sort of reviews, the key factors that I've heard people giving this film negatively are: runtime is too short and it goes too quick. There's not enough multiverse in the Multiverse of Madness. There's no real story. There's like apparently there's, you know, a story that's set out but they don't focus on it, and like the story gets lost throughout the film. Wanda steals all the spotlight and Doctor Strange doesn't get any character development at all. It's too Sam Raimi and therefore doesn't work. It's too much of his style, so it doesn't work as a Marvel film. And overall just wasn't enough. So overall, I feel strongly about these because I can see where they're coming from. However, I pretty much disagree with almost all of them. So it goes too quick is the first one I mentioned, and I was skeptical of the runtime. It's only like 2 hours and 5 minutes, that's including credits, and a decent length of a film to me is about 2 hours 30, and then obviously Marvel films sometimes push 240 to even, you know, Endgame was 3 hours, right? However, I was pleasantly surprised. By the time I finished that film, I felt like everything was structured. I wouldn't say perfectly. I think the first act was great. I think the bit where they're fighting that big like octopus monster, that went on for a bit too long. But I thought the first act was great, and I thought the third act was fucking phenomenal. The middle act was a bit weird. It was a bit everywhere, but I didn't think it went too quick. I finished that film and I went, you know what, that was enough for me. That was cool. Not enough multiverse. I do kind of agree, considering this film is called Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Dimension hopping that you see in the trailer is pretty much all you get, and there isn't much more to it. Like, I think every universe they end up going to, it's in the trailers at some point. I think the issue is that there was too much shown in the trailers, right? And when they showed us Professor X in the trailer, and they showed us Captain Carter in the trailer, that's what they were, like, it was as if they were selling that, like, we're gonna show you this now because there's going to be so much more throughout the rest of it, and that just wasn't the case. And I think if we hadn't seen all that and we just showed a little bit of multiversal stuff and some stuff with Wanda and Doctor Strange and Wong and America Chavez, then I think at that point people wouldn't have been as disappointed as some people were, because it was sold to them that they were going to see all these cameos and stuff, when that just wasn't the case. Yeah, I do think they could have done with a little bit more multiverse hopping, especially in the third act, but I'm not too caught up on that because I liked everything they did do with the multiverse. No real story, and it gets lost. I heavily disagree. So I think because it relies so heavily on Wanda and her children, that people have the assumption, or people just come to the conclusion that, like, oh, there was no story, it was no Doctor Strange story. But you gotta realize the story was, after WandaVision, Wanda wants to get back to her kids, gets corrupted by the Darkhold, after, you know, we see that in the post-credit scene, and that's the story. America Chavez in the universe was friends with Doctor Strange, and America Chavez is Wanda's way of getting to her kids. So when they hop back, when they change universes, it makes sense that Doctor Strange is helping America Chavez. And what, you know what I mean? Like, the story's there. That's what the film's about. Wanda trying to get to her kids, and Doctor Strange being the way to you know, being the one that needs to help stop that. I really don't know what people think. I think it's because of the title. Because the title is The Multiverse of Madness, people expected just so much more, especially after what we got with Spider-Man. No, I thought the story was great. I thought the plot was great. Yeah, and we're moving on to the next bit, in conjunction. So Wanda steals the spotlight. That's the other huge thing, and she does, but not in a bad way. Like, she is fucking amazing, right? And her being the villain in the story, like, that is the payoff to WandaVision that I needed, because I was disappointed with the ending of WandaVision. I liked it, I enjoyed it, but, you know, I felt like she was building up to a villain story, and then they just kind of flipped it on the head without the hardness. But she got a fucking villain story, man, and it was unbelievable. It was brutal, and I loved it. The complaint that he was too Sam Raimi, blow my mind because he directed the film, so it's gonna look like a Sam Raimi film, and it did, and it was so. Obviously, there had to be like some leeway. I'm sure there was a lot more Sam Raimi wanted to put into it that he couldn't, but they let him breathe and they let him do what he wanted to do, right? And you can tell, like the whip pans and like the sort of whip zooms and all that good stuff. It's all there, and it's fucking great. There were some lines of dialogue which I think didn't land. Yeah, there were some things with the Illuminati that I was like, for example, Mr. Fantastic telling Wanda exactly how she can stop Black Bolt. Like, do you know, like there was that thing where it's like, come on now, Wanda, Black Bolt can kill you with just one whisper from his mouth. He could have just done that. But she told him that, and then she was like, what mouth? And that bit was cool, but I thought that, like, as a piece of dialogue, that was just a bit like, sort of cheesy, and there was a few of them throughout, but the Illuminati were fucking great, right? Like, again, we were shown way too much, because we saw Modo in the trailer, and obviously we found out he replaced Doctor Strange when he became Sorcerer Supreme. We saw Captain Carter in the trailer. We saw... missed my finger completely. Saw Professor X in the trailers. And we saw Captain Marvel in the trailers. And obviously there was discussion on whether it was Captain Marvel or whether it was Superior Iron Man. I said in my reaction video that it's Captain Marvel. I didn't realise it'd be Maria Rambeau, which I thought that was very fucking cool. And of course, you know, the one that wasn't spoiled, but everyone kind of knew he was going to be there, Mr. Fantastic. And I got spoiled for that, like, so obviously I saw the film Thursday, and I got spoiled for it, I think it was last Sunday, and I'm kind of gutted, because I would have liked to have seen that come up, but my friend Joel didn't know, and he was sat next to me, and that was a fun experience, because you just see him just kind of like, not know what to do with himself. Some of the things I did specifically love in this film, right, first of all, is like the little conversation at the start about the blip. And that guy's like, oh yeah, I blipped and then I lost my cat and my brother and then I came back and I just had to be told they had died. Like, you know, we had a little bit of that in WandaVision when Monica Rambeau finds out her mother died, and then in this, but it was the actual interaction with Stephen Strange, and the guy was like, did it really have to be that way? And he was like, yeah, it did. And I feel like we're not gonna get that touched on a lot more, because, you know, you just got like the sort of the humane aspect of it, of people that saying, are you sure that was the only way? We're probably not going to see that again, and I wish we got to see more of it at the start. One of my favourite moments in this entire thing was just when Wanda's obviously trying to break in, right? And she's trying to get in their heads, and they're all trying to stop her from getting in their heads, but there's that one guy where she just comes around the back of him and whispers "run," and like the last time we saw Wanda use a power like that was in Age of Ultron, and even that was like barely. So I was so fucking excited when that happened. Like, that was the moment for me where I was like, all right, we are gonna see some shit. And like, I wouldn't go as far as to say this was a proper horror, right? But honestly, I was blown away by what they got away with. Like, really, like, it was still a PG-13, like a 12A, but I couldn't believe Disney allowed the amount of stuff that went forward, because they recently like gone back and edited some CG in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier to get rid of blood for whatever reason, but yet this film was like, nah bro, it's happening. Like when Black Bolt's head exploded and the blood just shot out his nose and his eyes popped out, and I was like, bro, that was like next level shit. Another thing I appreciated was when Modo was like making them hallucinate and go like funky and shit. America Chavez was like, what was in that tea? And obviously that's like a reference to Doctor Strange 1.
What did you just do to me?
I pushed your astral form out of your physical form.
What's in that tea?
That was just me being a Doctor Strange nerd. The thing is that Doctor Strange and Wanda Maximoff are my favourite characters, like, in the entire MCU. So this film for me, regardless of what, you know, how good of a film it was from a filmmaking standpoint, I was gonna love it anyway. And I don't think it's you know, there's been debates on whether like Marvel films should be nominated for Oscars and shit. This film shouldn't, right? It's by no means like a masterpiece of film, but it kind of, you were able to forget about all the other MCU stuff, and there was just this story about Wanda and Doctor Strange trying to, you know, stop her doing what she wanted to do. Man, I fucking loved it. I can't express how I felt about it. I'm going to see it again next week, and I feel like maybe I'll either like it even more or dislike it, but I just know that, lost for words on it, because it again, I understand the criticism. The point I went through at the start, I get it. I get what is being said, but I think you just need to forget about how much of a spectacle most MCU films would be. Like this film is definitely a cinema experience, right? Like you need to see this in theaters, and like the horror aspects of it were great. It built up tension, and like I think I only jumped like twice, but my friend Sophie came out of it and she was like, yeah, I was not aware this was going to be a horror. Would have liked to have known that beforehand, which obviously, you know, you've done a good job when that's the reaction people are getting. The battle with Strange versus Sinister Strange, the musical battle, so many people have said that was pointless and stupid. But think about it. Think about how much just batshit, like, stupid shit the MCU does, right? You know, like, there's so many powers that, like, so many things they try to ground. And Phase 4 is clearly going, nah, bro, we're gonna go fancy with this shit. We're gonna do some weird stuff. And I fucking loved that scene. And so the cinema we went to had subtitles. It's the first time I've ever had subtitles in a cinema, which I was like, bro, I had no idea we were gonna have subtitles. I was vibing with it because I watch old films with subtitles anyway, and so it was like telling us like the track name of everything as it was coming up. So like there was something about that made it like even better. But when he just plucks that one note from the harp and it collides, and you just get that moment of silence right before the big grand sort of like you know musical uproar. And going off that as well, Danny Elfman was back for this, and fuck me, like he just never fails to do justice to the films he does music for. And of course, you know, Sam Raimi, Danny Elfman, bringing back all past things we know from Spider-Man. Of course, do along with Sam Raimi, we had Bruce Campbell. And I literally said, right, so that scene was a bit weird. It was a bit, you know, it wasn't as funny as I think it was meant to be. But as we were waiting for the credits, I knew there was 2 post-credit scenes, but I didn't know what they were. The first one, I thought she was an Eternal. I found out she was a character called Clea, that I think she was like the niece of Dormammu, maybe. Don't hold me up on that. That's just something I think I remember reading. But I was sat next to my mate Joel, and I said, I guarantee you, the second post-credit scene is going to be Bruce Campbell still punching himself. And I think the people sat behind me clocked onto me saying that, because when it happened, and it was, me and Joel just started laughing, and just behind me, you had the guy going, he was right. So I thought that was funny. That was just fucking, yeah. But like there's a theme recently that the second post-credit scenes are comical. So, you know, just gonna pull up my letterbox because just tell you guys what I rank this film. So what I do with my letterbox, right? I don't rank things in sort of what I think like the best top quality film is. I rank it in the sense of what can I see myself watching again first, or what did I enjoy the most, and you know, because there are some films that are good films and there are some things that are good Marvel Cinematic Universe films, you know, like Avengers Endgame. It was a fucking masterpiece within the MCU, but realistically it was like fan service payoff, so you know. And there are literally 47 things in this letterbox ranking of the MCU, because I've got all the Spider-Man films, even the Amazing Spider-Man and the Raimis, because those characters come through and they reference events from their films, which makes that canon, so they're in. I've also got some one-shots in there and bits and bobs, and obviously Morbius, Venom, all that stuff is in there because, you know, events continue. But if we just count back from top 10, my top 10 favourite MCU films, including the Sony Spider-Man films. So number 10 is WandaVision. Love WandaVision. It used to be a lot higher up, but obviously things kept coming out and I kept stacking it up. So number 10 is WandaVision. Number 9 is Captain America: The First Avenger. Number 8 is Moon Knight. Moon Knight was fucking phenomenal. Number 7 is the first Doctor Strange. I love Doctor Strange, as I've mentioned throughout this video. Number 6 is Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Captain America. Before I got my love of Doctor Strange and Wanda, Captain America was my top guy. So yeah, number 6 is Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Number 5 is Avengers Endgame. Number 4 is Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Number 3 is original Raimi Spider-Man 2. Number 2 is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. And number 1 is Spider-Man: No Way Home. But yes, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is number 4 on my list. And I know a lot of people will disagree with that, but again, there are better films. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I fucking adore, right? And overall, as the writing and the story is better than Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. But I had so much fun with this film, and I fucking love Wanda, I love Doctor Strange, and they did so many cool things, and Doctor Strange character arc, everything with Christine was so... The stories were well written, there was some dialogue and some scenes that were a bit everywhere, but the story was so well done, and the horror aspect and just the storytelling of this film was so fucking amazing to me that I just think it does deserve number 4. But yes, that is my review of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, or more so should I say, that is my review of the reviews of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Let me know what you thought in the video in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all very, very soon. I'm probably going to watch this film so much more before the next time you see me. Goodbye.